trailed by just 3 games. Welcome inside beautiful SunTrust Park. Happy as always you can be with us. Aaron Goldsmith alongside Tom Verducci. And Tom, it is about mid-August, which means it's the perfect time to talk about the MVP race. And while we have a long way to go to decide the winner, we know this much. Tonight we'll see 2 guys who figure to finish near the top. Freddie Freeman swinging as hot of a bat as he maybe ever has. Of course, at first base for the Braves, and a new face, Christian Yelich, for the Brewers.
Well, listen, the MVP race in the NL is wide open, but you better have these 2 names on your list. Let's start with Christian Yelich. When you trade for a 26-year-old outfielder the way the Brewers did for Yelich, you want him to just be coming into his prime. It's exactly what's happening. A career year, top 10 in the league in batting average, hits, total bases, and what I love, this slugging percentage, career high, .531, a good hitter adding power to his game. On the other side, well, Freddie Freeman's been consistent year in, year out. He brings a hot bat into tonight's game, a 12-game hitting streak. Think about a slash line of 300, 400, 500. Batting average, on base slugging. That's Freddie Freeman. Only 2 other hitters in baseball can say that. And they're in the other league, Mike Trout and Mookie Betts. 2 contending teams, 2 MVP candidates. We got it for you tonight.
Yeah, this should be a fun one tonight as we take a look at the starting lineup for Craig Counsell and the Brewers. There is Christian Yelich leading things off. Another new face in Milwaukee this year, Lorenzo Cain, who is putting together maybe an MVP season of his own. Mike Moustakas, another Royal connection with the Brewers, batting third. Eric Thames gets to start at first base. Jesus Aguilar begins this game on the bench. And with a ground ball pitcher in Wade Miley on the mound, Orlando Arcia is the shortstop, batting 8th. Now, as you take a look at Julio Teheran up on the mound, 27 years old from Colombia. And if you talk with Julio Teheran so far this season, Tom, it seems like this is a year that he has just been lacking some consistency. He hasn't been able to keep it going.
Well, especially early in games, Aaron. We'll keep an eye on this in the first inning. He has been a slow starter. You've got an ERA in the first inning that looks like an area code, 818. That's not a good thing, especially walks early. Odd angle. We'll watch the release point of Julio Teheran. Second lowest among all starting pitchers. We'll talk about that. And he has an extrication slider. When he's in trouble, that's going to be his go pitch. And when he's good, he's got a really good slider.
And that slider can be deadly. The defense behind Teheran in this one. Kurt Suzuki getting the start at home plate. And in the outfield, it is Acuna in center field. This has become a trend for the Braves recently against a left-handed starter. Acuna moving into center, and Adam Duvall, a new acquisition by the Braves, getting the start in left. Of course, Nick Markakis, one of the best in right field. Suzuki doing the catching today up the middle. Swanson and Albies. Really 3 shortstops on this infield. Yohan Camargo at third base, and the all-star Freddie Freeman, one of the best defenders at first base as well. This should be a really fun one here tonight, and 2 pitchers, when they're in a groove, Tom, work very quickly. We know that about Miley. And for Teheran, when he's in the rocking chair, he can make pretty quick work of things as well.
Yeah, that is conditional, though, because when he's not throwing the ball well, he really slows down. Keep an eye on the pace between pitches for Teheran.
So here is Yelich to begin things, an all-star this year for the first time. And a good start for Teheran, a first pitch strike. Yelich, of course, homering in the all-star game. Maybe swinging the best bat of his career right now.
I talked about the slow starts for Teheran. The last game he actually opened with a 4-pitch walk to the first batter. He's had 19 walks in his 22 first innings. Way too many.
Ahead 1-2. Now for the Brewers, they have lost 4 of 5. They ended the month of July tied for first in the Central. They're now 3 games behind the Cubs, although the Cubs getting rocked at home today by the Nationals.
That's his go-to slider right there. You'll see against lefties and righties, it'll be glove side and down. You saw he shook Suzuki, who wanted a fastball in, change up, fastball in, fastball away, and back to the slider. Yeah, he's going through the whole Rolodex right there. 2 strikes, his best option is going to be that slider to right-handers and left-handers.
Missing in. Lorenzo Cain on deck. Here comes the payoff. Well, leadoff walk. How about our Ford keys to this one tonight, Tom?
Well, did you know that 50 years ago today, the Braves signed 62-year-old Satchel Paige? We'll get into that, but I want to quote the great Satchel Paige here. For the Brewers, throw strikes, home plate, don't move. They've had way too many walks, 44 walks in their last 9 games. For the Braves, dance like nobody's watching. In other words, keep playing the way you've been playing with a lot of enthusiasm and energy. The youthfulness of this team is serving them well second half of the season.
Leadoff man aboard and a move to first base. Keep an eye on Yelich.
Well, Teheran's got a really good balk move. That wasn't it. That's just a courtesy move there. I say a balk move. He's so quick, he'll move his front knee before he goes to first. It's literally a balk.
One quick skip underneath Albies. He's able to stay with it. Able to get Yelich at second base. So 1 out. They swap base runners at first.
Ball was scalded. He's trying to pick the short hop there. It might have caught his chain as it came up off the glove. It was unusual because he actually took his eyes off that ball as it got into his glove.
One on for Mike Moustakas. Deadline deal for the Brewers.
That's the A move right there. When I talk about the balk move, a hitter or a runner at first will watch that front leg of the pitcher. And if you see the front knee begin to buckle, he has to, by rule, go home. But he does it so quickly, sometimes he'll give you that little flex of the knee and go to first.
And Moustakas, who of course came up with Kansas City, won a World Series with the Royals. Now putting on a different uniform for the first time in his career. There goes Kane. Slides in and he's safe. The 21st bag this year for Lorenzo Kane, and nobody steals more bases in the National League than these Brewers.
Yeah, great jump on a pitch that was almost really a designed pitch out or a camouflage pitch out. Takes a look in. I still think it was a straight steal. You see the way Suzuki was. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a called pitch out, if you will. Fastball up and away because he set up so far off the plate, almost expecting Kane to run. And yet Kane's jump gets in the bag anyway.
Suzuki inside the batter's box. 2 outs.
What's interesting about pitch outs, Aaron, you really don't see the traditional pitch out anymore in the game today, where the catcher gets up early, moves into the other box, and the pitcher throws it far outside.
Well, to your point
earlier,
earlier,
always camouflage. You just throw a fastball up and away.
the term now, it seems like, is the modified pitch out.
That's the technical term.
That is the technical term. But you're right. That is almost entirely extinct. I mean, if you're a base runner and you force a pitch out, you're really doing something right these days.
Yeah.
You take that as a compliment.
Not as many stolen bases these days in today's game.
Now Teheran trying to work around the leadoff walk. He has Kane at second. Doesn't take much to score Lorenzo Kane from second base. Ryan Braun the batter. First pitch, center field. Here comes Kane steaming around third base. Acuna has no throw. Ryan Braun first pitch makes it 1-0 Milwaukee. All right, thank you, Kenny, and welcome everyone here inside SunTrust Park in Atlanta, Georgia. Aaron Goldsmith, Tom Verducci, as Ryan Braun has just driven in Lorenzo Kane from second base and given the Brewers a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, and if you know, Brian Snitker, the Braves manager, you continue to shake your head. This run set up by, again, a leadoff walk in the first inning by Julio Teheran. Brewers cash in with the stolen base. As you mentioned, the first pitch single by Braun.
Travis Shaw, the batter, looks at strike one. So two very good things happening for the Brewers in the matter of about a minute. Braun giving them the lead, and The final from Wrigley as the Nationals take down the Cubs 9-4. Game preceding us here on FS1. Duvall in left field tonight. And the former Red puts it away for out number 3. Braun stranded, but he drives in the first run of the game. Brewers on top early. Albies 20 home runs. He is 21 years old and leading the first place Braves in home runs. And of course, Freddie Freeman and Nick Markakis, the only duo who has played in every game of the season for their team. As Bunn has shown, and Miley starts things off with a pitch that just misses. Now Miley, who has spent the year on the disabled list a couple of times, a groin and oblique, you can see only 7 starts entering tonight. But when he has been on the mound and healthy for the Brewers, Tom, he's been very effective.
Oh, you see how quickly he works. He's among the fastest working pitchers in baseball. His career really changed corners. Late last year, he went to the cutter and stayed grounded. There's that cutter in. His MO is to pound cutters into righties, open up the outside with changeups. He's faced 143 batters this year, allowed 1 home run.
And working quickly, but falling behind 3-1 to Acuna. He smokes this down by the pole left field, and this game is tied at 1. His 14th, and he'll be staying at the top of the order for a while, it looks like.
Pound cutters in. This is what happens when you don't get it in enough. Too much of the plate to too good of a hitter. Miley actually had shook to throw another cutter in that sequence. What a pretty swing by Acuna.
Ball 1 to Ozzie Albies. 20 years old in his 20th game at the top of the order for the Braves.
I'll tell you, the guy Acuna reminds me of is Justin Upton. Just really good balance at the plate, quick bat, the 2-hand finish. Both those guys impressive from the get-go early as big leaguers.
Albies 21 years old, an all-star this year. second in the National League in doubles, second in runs scored. Miley's 2-1. Past the shift. As he's able to split Moustakas and Arcia. Albies making a wide turn, but getting back to first base. Home run and a single against Miley right away.
Love the energy. This is a changeup that he's going to hook to left field, but the turnaround first base is something I really love to see. Just give yourself the option of getting to second if the ball's mishandled even a little bit. Love the energy.
Now here's Freddie Freeman trying to extend a 12-game hitting streak. An all-star this year for the third time. Freeman, who you can make the case has been one of the most, if not the most, underrated hitter in the majors over the last, you name it, 3, 4, 5 years. Led the fan vote in the National League this year. Ball one to each of the first 3 hitters for Miley.
He's got such a good approach at the plate, really, because his default swing is to take the ball in the air to left center field. It keeps him on time for different velocities.
Now this game features a number of left-handed hitters who hit left-handed pitching incredibly well, and Freeman is one of those guys. Bounces away from Kratz. Albies easily into second. Nobody out, a run in and a runner in scoring position.
Ball just bounces too far away from Kratz, but again, Albies had a great secondary lead and read on that ball in the dirt.
Wild pitch from Miley. Freeman batting .333 left on left, has a man in scoring position.
I mean, the reason he's so good against lefties, Aaron, is again his approach at the plate to make sure he uses the entire field. And you'll watch, he keeps his front side closed for a very long time. In fact, actually has a little bit of a closed stride. The front foot will land a little closer to the plate. Left-handed hitters who have trouble with left-handed pitchers tend to open up too early. That is not a problem for Freddie Freeman.
Full count. Nick Markakis, who has been one of the best hitters in the league, stands on deck. Couple of men on base. A home run, a single, and now a walk to Freeman. Puts 2 on in front of Nick Markakis. And Markakis is the subject of tonight's Proven Performer, sponsored by Gatorade. Time you can see where he ranks. This is a remarkable season for Nick Markakis.
Age 34, best season ever, first time All-Star. Really started opening day. First walk-off home run.
He's batting here with Albies at second, Freeman at first. Steps out.
Just a little uncertainty about what to throw here. Fast worker is noticeably slowed down here, Miley.
Kratz able to keep it within arm's reach, 1-0. It was Acuna with the leadoff home run to tie this game up right away. Soft fly ball into center. Kane is able to get there. Throw back to second. Albies is safe there. Markakis is out number 1.
A good read by Kane. Good jump. There's a curveball by Miley that Markakis didn't square up. A lot of outfielders might get fooled on this, but between the jump and the speed, he's got it.
You want to talk defensive wins above replacement, Tom?
Yeah, let's do it, because, you know, we talked about Yelich as an MVP candidate. WAR definitely puts Low Kane in that discussion as well.
He's the 3rd best defensive WAR in the majors. Matt Chapman, who seems like he blows everyone away defensively this year, the 3rd baseman for the Oakland Athletics. And Andrelton Simmons, of course, a former Brave. Now the everyday shortstop for the Angels. Those are the only 2 guys who grade out better than Kane in that category. 1 out, 2 on for Johan Camargo. Now Miley has fallen behind to each of the first 5 hitters. To third. Good pick by Moustakas on the bag at third, over to first base, and the tag right there from Thames. Well, Miley is able to get out of it. No surprise with the ground ball. Jeff Francoeur is our guest, a former Brave and a very popular man around town, and it is alumni weekend. I wonder, how are your obliques doing after the home run derby that we saw
I'll tell you what,
ago?
beating Steve Avery and Brian Jordan, I'm fine. I'll take a pulled oblique for a couple weeks.
Well, I tell you what, all the guys that the Braves have run out here on alumni weekend, first of all you guys in the home run derby look like you stopped playing yesterday.
I was a little worried after watching Huddy, though, because he got tired quick. And I'll tell you, it really gives a lot of appreciation for what those guys do during the All-Star game. That was 90 seconds we were swinging. Those guys are swinging for 4 minutes.
Yeah, and you guys were swinging before your home runs actually landed.
Exactly.
So I think you got in more swings.
Brian Jordan looking good. We saw him down there. Well, this has been a fun year for you in a lot of ways. I know, Jeff. I mean, first of all, the Braves are in first place right now by a percentage point. I know you're a part of the telecast this year a little bit more. What has been your take on the Atlanta Braves so far this season?
It's been such a fun team to watch, guys. And, you know, you look around, and I said this early in the year, I loved our position players. They were young, they were hungry, and it was just a matter of, to me, if the pitching held up and would come along. And I love what Alex Anthopoulos did at the deadline. Got some bullpen guys, got another starter. You know, Gausman, you talk about it. He's throwing. He doesn't have to throw against the Yankees or Red Sox now. And y'all know that can make a big difference. And what he did last night was incredible. Pitched a great game.
It was a big part of a lopsided win last night in Game 1 for the Braves over the Brewers. Eric Thames is leading things off for Milwaukee and still looks at a 2-2 count.
So as you look at this team now, you mentioned some of the youthfulness. Going down the stretch here, what's going to be the key for this team? What do you see as the one element this team that really has to bring this team home down the stretch?
I think, you know, you talk about pitching, but our offense got to just continue to do what they do. And to me, that starts with Acuna and Ozzie up front. If they can get on, because there's been no more consistent hitters in baseball this year than Freddie Freeman and Nick Markakis.
First strikeout of the night for Julio Teheran. He gets Eric Thames. We're talking about that home run derby. Let's see this. Now you're going to take one of the ribs for that.
Oh, that's
Next year.
I will say it's the first time I've ever flipped a bat on a home run. It really is. I always run, but you know, it's a lot of fun to watch this team. And you talk about the guys that are coming up, but I'll say, I got to say it again, between Freddie and Nick, I don't think they get enough credit. You know, throughout baseball, how good they've been this year, and it's every night they, you know, do something to help this team win.
And they never take a day off, literally.
No, they don't. And that's what, you know, Snit, I think it's the best thing for a manager when Snit says, you know, for the most part, I know my lineup every day. And that's so nice.
How do you explain Markakis this year?
You know, he just got on a roll and he's just continued. But what I said he's done so well to me is he's going to left field so good. You know, he always kind of went everywhere, but you know, last night you see him. If he gets 2-2, he'll just slap it that way. He's not trying to do too much, and then his hands are so quick that, like, you know, in the double last night, he just pulls his hands in and hits it down the right field line.
Jeff, the guy I wanted to ask you about, a lot of similarities. He's wearing your old number, Dansby Swanson, number 7.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's from the area. You know what kind of pressure that kind of puts on you when you play for the Atlanta Braves. I actually see some similarities in the swing with the scissor footwork that he has
Absolutely.
in the swing. So break him down, what you see, especially offensively.
You know, I think he's going to have to polish his approach up at the plate. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I'll tell you one thing, Tom, that I absolutely love this year is his shortstop. He hasn't let that affect him this year. He's going after the ball. Ron Washington's out with him every day. He's charging the ball, making plays. And so that's the big thing for me, was I felt like last year his defense got hurt a little bit because of, you know, his offense at the plate. But this year it's not been that way. And I think it'll change.
This is into the corner. Markakis chasing after it, a foul ball. Because a lot of people will think, in your case or in Dansby's case, when you come home and you play for your hometown team, this is the great thing. This is the boyhood dream, right? But as Brian Snitker was telling us earlier today, before he even put on a Braves uniform, there was a billboard with his face on it. I mean,
oh, there was, driving right down I-85 all the time.
Couldn't miss
but
it.
no, you couldn't. And I said, you know, between 05, 06, and 07, you know, I had 2.5 just phenomenal years here. It was great. I loved it. You go anywhere, you do whatever. And then all of a sudden, 08, you ran into a little trouble, and it was the worst thing. You know, you would have listened to the barber telling you how to hit. You know, so there's pluses and negatives to everything. But I think the way he's handled it this year, you can see a lot more maturity in him. And, you know, he's done a great job at short.
well, now nobody on. Kratz looking at a full count.
And it's fun to see this team playing like tonight on FS1, where, you know, it's a full stadium. It's been a long time since the Braves have had that kind of thing going on here.
Oh, you can feel it. And I know Kevin Gausman talked about that after the game last night. He immediately felt the energy in the ballpark here. Meaningful games late in the season. Not sure he wanted that slider. Front door would have worked out for him.
A little backup piece.
Back-to-back strikeouts now facing the shortstop Orlando Arcia. Jeff Francoeur is our guest. Now, we have to tell you that we sampled a product of yours.
Yeah.
We had Frenchie's fries.
Fresh cut fries. Don't forget that.
Now, did we put any money in your pocket with that purchase? I mean, are there residuals?
We haven't worked that out yet. I think we're just kind of letting it take its toll right now, but hopefully we can get that going.
Old family recipe.
I'll tell you what, I love them. Did you like? I love them. They're great. And the people here are phenomenal. Delaware North, they bring food up every night for us. That's what I said. Being around Chip and Joe, if I continue to eat like that, I'm going to be 350 in a few years.
They have a pantry in the booth full of
man,
sweets.
last year they had a hot dog machine up here, and
I remember
they ended up taking it away. I guess a fire code. I don't know. I was pretty disappointed about that.
Everybody's waistline is probably better. Now 2 outs, nobody on. Arcia looking at a 1-1 count. Very close.
You know, but people talk about Turner Field and this. What's the difference? I just love it because this is a baseball stadium. Yeah. It's the first stadium in Atlanta that to me that's had it. You know, you talk Fulton County, that was just cookie cutter. Turner Field for the Olympics, and now this. People can enjoy it. The battery, everything that's going on, and I think you saw it with alumni today. There's 60 guys back.
Soft pop up, middle part of the infield. There's Dansby Swanson.
Enjoy it, guys.
Thanks so much, man.
Appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
By.
Thanks.
Swiffer. We are tied at 1 going to the bottom of the second. Our thanks to Jeff Francoeur. It was about as infectious of a personality as you will find in a ballpark. I feel like he's like that every day, though, Tom.
Yeah, I think so. He was fun to watch, man. First of all, he was a great athlete in high school here in the Atlanta area, football player. Wow, could he throw from the outfield, hit for power?
Adam Duvall, the left fielder, leads it off for the Braves, a new face in Atlanta, only his 8th game in a Braves uniform. Coming over from Cincinnati, looks at strike 1. The first pitch strike thrown by Wade Miley so far tonight.
Yeah, and if he gets that continued called a strike, look out. That is right where he wants to extend the strike zone to right-handed hitters in.
Easy play for Ryan Braun. 2 pitches and 1 out.
Really interesting transformation for Miley, and there's another cutter right there. This is a guy who led the league in walks last year in Baltimore. Traditionally had been sinker slider guy, and right around this time last year adopted the cut fastball. And he's been a much better pitcher since then, and he will just keep throwing. He'll throw that more than any other pitch.
You can hardly find a starting pitcher who throws that cut fastball more than Miley. His usage is off the charts. Now facing the catcher Suzuki. Now makings of a quick inning. Fly ball out to Yelich. 3 pitches, 2 outs.
Yeah, this is where you have to stay on the attack if you're Miley. With Swanson coming up, the number 8 hitter, and the pitcher behind him, as Tehran did. Make sure you get that 8 hitter with 2 outs. Have the pitcher lead off the next inning.
Miley told us yesterday that last season pitching for Baltimore, he threw a fastball to Evan Longoria that he absolutely turned on and crushed 400 feet. And after that, he said, next time Longoria's coming up, I'm throwing him nothing but cutters. Even though Miley said he had never thrown a cut fastball off a major league mound in his career. He even told his catcher, don't even put down signs. I'm going all cutters. In his mind, he was thinking slider, but he knew it was going to be a cutter. And he got him out. The next day, Longoria said to him, what in the world was that? So maybe in part you can thank Evan Longoria.
Well, it might have been right after that. He had a start against Texas last year where he threw 64 cutters. And if you watch the way Wade throws, he's got a crossfire delivery, sets up on the third base side of the rubber, steps towards the first base side, throws across the body. So he can naturally cut that ball into right-handers. As I said, when he does that, it opens up pitches just like the one he threw there, the changeup away. Third base side of the rubber, he'll step towards the first base side, cut the ball across his body, crossfire movement.
2-2 on Swanson.
Back-to-back changeups.
Easy play. Shaw playing over at shortstop. 3 up, 3 down, and a quick inning for Wade Miley. Wade Miley making his major league debut in a Diamondbacks uniform at Turner Field against a team he grew up cheering for in many ways. And his favorite player at Chipper Jones. Dan Uggla taking up deep, third batter of the ball game. But Miley, not exactly known for wielding the stick, comes up with his first big league hit. And then how about this? An all-star the following year, and he stands in line during introductions against his boyhood idol, now Hall of Famer Chipper Jones.
That was his guy. Yeah, he said growing up in Louisiana, all they could get was TBS. Watched Braves all the time. Chipper was his guy. By the way, that base hit we saw from Chipper actually knocked him out of the box in that game. But yeah, he's from a very small town in Louisiana.
Loranger, Louisiana.
Oh, you've heard of it, huh?
He's told me about it before. How about this from Wade Miley? Going towards the gap. Wade Miley's third hit of the season.
No stoplights. Got a grocery store, a donut shop, tanning salon, one restaurant. Just a hanging slider right here. Does a nice job keeping the head down on that. big Braves fan, as you said, when the Braves won the World Series in 1995. He went out and celebrated. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. Went to Shoney's. True story.
I think Wade would fit in just fine there. First pitch missing to Christian Yelich. Yelich batting over 400 since the All-Star break. I think Wade's enjoying being on the base paths. Tehran a couple of strikeouts in the second inning, walked the first batter of the ball game, but was able to erase Yelich on a fielder's choice.
It was interesting watching Suzuki catch that ball there. He was expecting it to be farther outside. And backhanded that ball. It was over the plate.
Now the 2-1. Makes it 3-1.
These are the counts to me where Yelich is a different hitter than he's been in the past. This is where he can keyhole. Look for something middle, in, and down that he can turn on. Shorten the strike zone right here. Yeah, that's what he was thinking, but he's shaking his head because that was not the pitch that he wanted. Like the aggressive mindset. Yeah, he's not happy with the selection to swing at that one. Fastball in.
And his center smoked out that way, but Acuna is able to make the catch. Now for Yelich, even the outs are hard hit. Among the leaders in exit velocity in the National League. In fact, top of that list.
That's why that power will continue to grow, Aaron. More experience, more carry on some of these pitches, picking his spots on pitches. We had a nice conversation with Craig Counsell along those lines, and the guy he reminds me of, Yelich, is Don Mattingly, who went from being a really good hitter to one with power.
One out, Miley at first. Here's Lorenzo Cain. Now Counsell was really just even citing part of the reason to that, just the physical build of Yelich. Such a long wingspan for a man who's not quite the young man that he was when he broke in, but still very young in many ways.
Yeah, as he said, 6'4", as you mentioned, the long levers. More than 3,000 times in the batter's box now in the big leagues. You learn some things. He's probably added about 20 pounds as well since he broke into the big leagues with the Marlins.
Well, there are some who like to trumpet Lorenzo Cain as a possible MVP candidate. He's been stellar defensively, as we've talked about. One thing that would probably keep people from going down the path of Cain for MVP, the home run ball. 8 home runs this year for Cain. It's been a month and a half since he has gone deep. But hitting for a good average and possibly a Gold Glove in his future this year. See if Ender Inciarte has anything to say about that. Finds Freddie Freeman, 2 outs. And it's a beautiful night here in Atlanta. First pitch temperature in the mid-80s. Alumni weekend. So plenty of Braves greats in the house. And even those who maybe were only here for a game or two. 25 years ago.
I was really impressed, as Jeff Francoeur told us, when they have about 60 different alumni came back from lots of different years in Braves past.
On the first pitch, Moustakas pops it up, foul ground behind the plate. Suzuki out of room. Really pretty even timeshare behind the plate for Braves catchers. Suzuki getting the start tonight.
Yeah, it's almost exactly even when you look at the rotation that Brian Snitker has used, alternating them almost on a daily basis. He doesn't want to get caught up in one pitcher having one catcher. Both receivers are excellent at framing the baseball.
Off the plate, 1-1 to Moustakas. Moustakas turning 30 in September. Of course, formerly the #2 overall pick by Kansas City in 2007, a pick after David Price. They have the shift on for him here. Moustakas 22 home runs in total this year. Last year 38 home runs. That was a Royals franchise record.
He caught a lot of people by surprise last year by ambushing them early in counts.
Staying away again. Ryan Braun would be next. He's driven in the lone run so far for the Brewers. Are you saying maybe ambushing works in 1 year, but maybe doesn't work 2 years in a row?
Word gets out. He said he's getting pitched much differently early in counts. He stayed away from him that entire at bat and just kept missing.
And walks have been a problem. That's the second one tonight for Tehran. 5th most in the majors. In fact, his walk rate is at a career high, which is really a shame when you look at the other numbers surrounding Tehran this year. An opposing average of .212. That's the 6th lowest in the National League, and you can see the ratio of balls to strike here not good at all.
Yeah, I mean, how do you have a 4.5 ERA when you're holding hitters to .220 batting average, .212 batting average? Well, walks and home runs.
Two on, 2 out. First pitch missing to Ryan Braun.
This is always a tough call for a third base coach. When you have your pitcher at second base with 2 outs. So you had Cedar there giving instructions to Wade Miley about taking his lead deeper. With 2 outs, you want to widen that lead deeper, create a better angle to round third base. It's almost automatic to send someone with 2 strikes on a hit to the outfield, but not when it's the pitcher.
Miley representing the go-ahead run.
Bring up the other thing I always think about when a pitcher has been on base for this long in an inning. Michael Kadire, the former player, always talked to me about watch that pitcher the next inning when he's been on the bases for a long period of time. Not that it's physically taxing. You're out of routine as a pitcher. You're just sitting there on the bench, formulating a game plan for the next inning. He's been on his feet this entire inning here on the bases.
Having to think about something other than what his actual job is.
Yeah, like where's the next base? What direction?
That gets a piece of Braun. All of a sudden, the bases are loaded.
Yeah, he's getting underneath the baseball here. You see, we talked about the low release point of Tehran. We talked about all his misses to Moustakas. This is going to be the same kind of miss. And that is to the arm side off the plate. A lot of times a catcher will go to a slider or a breaking ball to get the pitcher back to their proper release point. That will force a pitcher to get on top of the baseball, because on fastballs he's getting underneath the ball, and that's why it's sailing to arm side.
Facing Travis Shaw, 23 home runs this year for Shaw. And for Tehran, look at the home run problems he's had this year. Twice he has allowed a grand slam this season.
Same miss again with the fastball. Now Travis Shaw, don't think about fastballs away as being a safe zone on him. He loves to hit the ball out in front, and he can hook fastballs away out to right field as well as anybody.
Line right to Freddie Freeman. Julio Tehran walks the tightrope and survives. DC United welcomes Orlando City to the nation's capital. Then Clint Dempsey and the Seattle Sounders face Rayto Siegler and FC Dallas. It all starts tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern on FS1, or you can stream it live on the Fox Sports app. All tied, one apiece. On to the bottom of the third. Tom, you got to tell us about Satchel Paige.
Yeah, it's 50 years ago today. The Atlanta Braves signed Satchel Paige as a pitcher at the age of 62. Can you believe it? That's Satchel at Shea Stadium in 1968. A great picture. I love that picture. Actually, it was Bill Bartholomew, the president of the club, who signed Satchel Paige. And even though he was on the active roster, don't worry, folks, they weren't going to have him pitch at age 62. He needed 158 days to qualify for the pension. And that's why Bill Bartholomew signed him, to make sure that he was able to get in the service time to get his major league pension. But there was an added benefit. You had Satchel Paige in your clubhouse, right? He had a rocking chair in front of his locker. He'd hold court. You know, after tough losses, he'd be joking around with the players. I mean, you talk about having a great clubhouse influence. That was Satchel Paige. Traveled around with a typewriter and an attaché case that he had filled with all kinds of, let's say, bottles. Okay. Phil Niekro liked to tell the story. On one Braves charter flight, he was walking back towards the bathroom. Satchel said, "Hey, Niekro, do you drink?" Phil said, "Well, every once in a while." And he said he opened up his attaché case. He said every kind of bottle you can imagine was in there. So he kept things loose.
Apparently so. Especially the tops of those bottles.
And I said he was 62, but of course he was famous for no one really knowing what his age was. He had a great line. He used to say, "How old would you be if you didn't know how old you were?"
You sure Yogi didn't say that? Satchel said that?
Satchel, one of the great characters, besides being one of the great pitchers, one of the great characters in the game. You could fill a book with Satchel quotes. And actually, the Braves played an exhibition game against their AAA team, and Satchel did pitch in that game. And he pitched against Hank Aaron. How much money would you pay to watch Satchel Paige pitch to Hank Aaron?
That's remarkable. Pitcher on pitcher, the payoff. Right back to Miley on the mound. Lengthy battle from Tehran. Longest at-bat of the game comes from the pitcher.
By the way, Satchel won the at-bat. You got Hammer and Hank on a pop-up.
One out here is Acuna, who tied this game at 1. His 14th home run of the season. Goes after the first pitch. It stays fair, and Moustakas recovers with a bare hand. A fastball to first base to get Acuna, who runs very well. 2 outs.
Yeah, great play by Moustakas, as you said. Not just the soft hands on the pick, the second time we've seen him on the backhand, but knowing Acuna runs so well. This is great hands right here. No panic. And as you said, the heater to first base, four-seamer. Just got him.
Couple of quick ground ball outs. Here is Ozzie Albies. Looks at ball 1. Now Miley facing his 11th batter. He has started only 3 of them off with a first pitch strike. And one of them was that rocket just hit by Acuna. Once again, Shaw swung over the second baseman, and it's another 1, 2, 3 innings. One inning rather, a couple of ground ball outs. Happy to have you with us for MLB on FS1. Aaron Goldsmith alongside Tom Verducci. Last crowd tonight inside SunTrust Park in Atlanta, Georgia, as Eric Thames will lead things off for the Brewers. Looking at a first pitch strike. Thames a strikeout victim his last time up, one of 2 strikeouts for Tehran.
That's just dotting the I right there on the outside corner twice. Looked like Tehran made a nice adjustment with the release point. But to me, the difficulty facing Tehran is where the ball is coming from. We talked at the top, it's such a low release point. Most pitchers, their release point is going to be about 6 feet off the ground.
He strikes out Thames for the second time. 3rd strikeout in total for Tehran.
And that changeup was set up by the fastballs away. Look at how low his release point is going to be. He's almost pushing the ball to home plate. So as a hitter, you want to soften your focus to an area where the ball is coming from. And normally your focus is going to be up around the hat level, or maybe even a little higher. With Tehran, as you see, you need to adjust your sights almost a foot lower. And look at these lowest release points for starting pitchers. Nola, Tehran, Kluber, Scherzer. All really good pitchers. And once again, he loses it up. Just inconsistent tonight so far with that release point. We've seen losing fastballs up and in. His second hit batter of the game. But I think, Aaron, if you're... That's a breaking ball right here. Just slipped like a bar of soap out of the hand. If you're a hitter, the more average a pitcher is in terms of where he releases the ball, the easier it is to hit. If you're an outlier, whether you're offset, whether you're high, whether you're low, it becomes more difficult to hit because you just don't see it as often.
1 out, 1 on. In steps Arcia, the shortstop. In play, Swanson on to second base. That's all they get there. Kratz erased. 2 outs. Arcia, the fielder's choice. Now that list of pitchers we just saw, I mean, each one of those guys, well, plus breaking ball, right? You look at the curveball from Nola, the curve-ish breaking ball thing from Corey Kluber.
Defies description, yes.
Right. We know about the slider for Tehran. Is there any correlation with the release, the height of the release point and the breaking ball, or that's just a unique similarity?
Well, I think in those cases, if you're talking about the breaking balls, to me, it's not just the height of the release point. It's how forward the release points are. Kluber, Nola, Scherzer actually release the ball well out in front of them as well. So they have that extension where they get a little more spin, a little more finish on their pitches. That's the good move right there from Tehran.
Ruled strike 2. Two outs, Arcia at first.
By the way, did you notice how easily Wade Miley cruised through that last inning after being on the bases the entire half inning? I was watching him in the dugout. He never sat down, didn't have time to sit down. Toweled off, got a drink, went out there and just mowed through the Braves 1, 2, 3 like it was nothing, like he does it all the time.
I'll tell Michael Kadire about that later. One and two now on Miley. He strikes him out. 4 strikeouts over 4 innings. We're tied.
that on what is alumni weekend here for the Atlanta Braves. I can't help but compare him to another first base Freddie McGriff. Both had very quiet lower halves. Both of them had a stride that stepped a little bit towards the plate, and then both of them had classic high finishes. Freddie with two hands. Well, that's Freddie Freeman with two hands, and Freddie McGriff with one hand. Let's continue the comparison. Look at this. Their career numbers with the Braves, the slash lines. That's pretty darn close, folks. Freddie Freeman, Freddie McGriff.
Now, Freeman does not have the whip finish on the home runs like McGriff had.
The helicopter finish, boy, that was, when he finished like that, you knew he got it.
Freeman leads it off on the first pitch. Right off Thames' glove, a 13-game hitting streak for Freddie Freeman as he digs for two, and he slides in there ahead of the tag at second base.
One of the best ambush hitters in baseball. You saw plenty of breaking balls first time around. You won't see too many hitters look breaking ball first pitch, but he is on time. And he knows with Yelich in right field, one part of Yelich's game that is not a plus is the throwing arm. Freddie Freeman is so good at first pitch hitting. It's controlled first pitch swinging. You know, he looks for a pitch, gets it. He's not going to miss it.
First pitch inside to Nick Markakis. Miley now pitching with the go-ahead run right behind him. Now Miley facing the man who leads the majors in hits. Markakis 2 more doubles last night, leads the National League in that category. He has simply been one of the game's best hitters this year. A chance to give the Braves the lead.
Three straight breaking balls. Yeah, Markakis, you mentioned leading the majors in hits. His exit velocity overall this year has gone way up from 88 last year to 91 this year. That may not sound like a lot, but that's a significant jump.
Now the results have been there, that is for sure. Those numbers with the runners in scoring position this year.
Overall, this team has been the best in the league. Runners in scoring position. They put the ball in play. Good two-strike approaches. His job here is to try to pull this ball, but I think with 2 strikes, he's just in any kind of a 2-strike mode. You may see him go the other way if he gets the cutter away.
Pulled off the glove of Eric Thames again, and in no man's land. Freeman being waved in. Freddie Freeman to the plate. The throw. He is safe. Braves lead 2-1.
It's not an easy send with nobody out because Freeman had to hold up because this ball should have been caught. Out of the glove of Thames, just off the web. You see Freddie had to stop. Now once it gets into the outfield, he's off and running. Shaw throws really well. Just beats the throw to the plate.
Nobody out here is Camargo. You know, tonight is a bit of a rare start, or what is becoming an increasingly rare start for Eric Thames at first base. His first start there of the month. This is 3rd since the beginning of July.
Yeah, we asked Craig Counsell about that, and he said it was mostly about getting Ryan Braun in the lineup, not so much Thames over Aguilar. And he said, listen, Aguilar has not been exactly red hot coming out of the break, hitting a $167. He wanted to get Ryan Braun in the lineup, so Thames goes to first. You know, with Wade Miley on the mound, there's Aguilar right there. The ball's going to be put in play. The defense is going to be important when Wade Miley is pitching. One of the few swings and misses right there on the changeup. Especially the left side of the infield. With the cutters in to right-handed hitters, the changeup's away. Miley wants to keep his left side active.
Major reason why Garcia is at shortstop tonight, despite his offensive problems this year. The Brewers' young shortstop, he's been terrific, of course, as always, defensively.
Well, I must say, I'm not a huge fan of what the Brewers are doing with their infielders.
Cracked into left. Braun, a sliding catch. A firm out number one.
Of course, they made the trades for Mike Moustakas and Jonathan Scope. So they've had a different shortstop. They've had the same shortstop for 2 straight days this month. 10 straight games, they've changed the shortstop. And that's, we talked to Craig Counsell about that, depending on whether he's got a fly ball pitcher on the mound or a ground ball pitcher. You play for the Brewers right now, and you're an infielder. You better check the lineup every day. And it's a puzzle that the Brewers think they can make work. That's definitely a different, more difficult way to go.
Into the shift. Garcia, a shot, having to quickly get back to second base after being over the shift. It's the second double play ball spun behind Miley. Braves have the lead. Braves winning 10-1 last night. Really an important series on both sides, and you look at how this stretch of games for both the Braves and the Brewers shake out. For the Braves, they are enjoying the early days of what to date is their longest homestand of the season. Meanwhile, for the Brewers, Tom, we'll be seeing them a week from today in St. Louis. They are in the early stages of a 3-city road trip that could really have some big implications on their playoff push.
Absolutely. The weekend series here, then off to Wrigley to play the Cubs, and then to St. Louis to play the Cardinals, playing better ball lately. And this, remember, coming off really a disastrous series at home against San Diego, losing 2 out of 3 the third game, blowing a lead in the 9th inning.
Even in that series opener, they led 4-0 to the Padres. They led 5-2 against the Padres, and they lost 11-5. And the implications of those 2 losses, especially Corey Knebel with the bases loaded walk, Soria the grand slam, Soria now on the disabled list, and Knebel, they're reassessing exactly what role he can pitch in right now. Strikeout to Yelich to begin the top of the 5th. How about we go back to Los Angeles? KB, what's going on for game break? All right, thank you, Kevin. And steps Kane. Looks at ball 1.
Yeah, you mentioned Knebel. It sounded, talking to the manager, like he's not quite going to throw him in a high leverage spot at this point. Wants to obviously work him back there. But don't be surprised the next time that Freddie Freeman comes up that Josh Hader is in the game. And I don't care what inning. Next inning, 7th inning. That Freeman-Markakis combination you saw contribute to the tie-breaking run. That's exactly why Hader is here, to pitch to those guys no matter what inning. Don't wait for the 9th. And of course, Jeremy Jeffries would be behind Hader. That's one thing I've really liked about the way that Craig Counsell runs a game. You know, he doesn't wait for the situation to come to him. Sometimes a critical point is going to be mid-game, and he's not afraid to drop in Josh Hader at one of those key spots against those key left-handed hitters.
Camargo off to his left, 2 outs. Is there a Terry Francona, Andrew Miller comparison there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And listen, I'm saying Hader against left-handers, but I'll take him against right-handers as well, just as you would Andrew Miller. Guys who get ready quickly, throw strikes, keep the ball in the ballpark.
Lefty's batting .063 against Hader this year, who has one of the most ridiculous strikeout rates of any reliever, any pitcher for that matter. An all-star this year for the first time. Moustakas fouls off the first pitch.
Yeah, see, that's Moustakas again. I think it's the 3rd time, at least twice, going after first pitch. And smart location right there. You know you have a first ball fastball hitter. Throw a fastball, but make it your pitch out of the zone, and he chased it.
A team option for next year for Mike Moustakas.
And we have not seen Tehran work the glove side of the plate much at all to lefties. Staying soft here.
Broken bat. Fly ball, some pretty good length considering the state of that bat right now. And for the 2nd time in 5 frames, Tehran retires his side in order. Braves. They lead it 2-1. Nick Markakis the go-ahead RBI single in the fourth. First pitch on the way to Kurt Suzuki. Across for strike one. Both Braves catchers free agents at the end of the season. And Suzuki really has enjoyed hitting in this ballpark, a career .290 hitter dating back to last year. Let's have the Braves' new digs. And he finds another base hit here. Leadoff single for the Braves catcher.
That's the changeup, just stayed up. Suzuki does a nice job just staying on that one. Didn't try to do too much with it, but you leave an off-speed pitch thigh high and above in the big leagues, it's going to get hit. Just a matter of how hard. You know, I asked Jeff Frank earlier about Dansby Swanson. You see him wearing that number 7. I saw some similarities from day one in their approach and swings. Earlier I talked, Aaron, about the scissor kick where the back foot will go behind Dansby Swanson. You see some really good hitters with a similar move. Jose Altuve, Chris Bryant. The difference for me is that they start from a spread position. Dansby is straight up and he'll lean forward.
Moustakas gobbles it up. They get Suzuki over at second base. Swanson aboard at first.
Swanson is a guy in his career against breaking balls hits 169. And I think it's because of his approach at the plate. You see, that just didn't have a grip. He did have 2 in order there. Yeah. But again, we're talking about a third baseman being moved to second base on the fly during a pennant race in the major leagues. Not easy. But again, with Dansby there, hitting so low against breaking balls to me because he's got little reach in his swing where he'll drift forward.
Moustakas fields the bunt. 2 outs. Tehran gives himself up. He pushes Swanson into second base. You know, Milwaukee took an early lead in the first inning, but it did not take long for the Braves to tie this one up in the bottom of the first inning. And it came from someone that they are beginning to see more and more of this from, especially from the top of the order. Ronald Acuna Jr. just pitches into the ball game.
Yeah, he's got a little George Springer in his game, doesn't he? Acuna's in scoring position when he steps in the batter's box. He is a great off-speed hitter. That's why when I mentioned Justin Upton, I was talking about his balance at the plate. To be a real good off-speed hitter, you better have really good balance. He's got it. That's a good take right there on the first pitch changeup. I'll give you some numbers here. All right, when the pitch is below 90, and certainly that cutter first inning is below 90, he hits 308. Above 90, it's just 234. So he's a better hitter below 90 than above 90. And that's not true of most hitters. Just about everybody gets to the big leagues because they hit fastballs. Not that he can't hit fastballs. This guy can hit anything. But he's an exceptional off-speed hitter.
And only 20 years old. Dansby Swanson at second base with 2 outs. Miley's 2-1.
That's just a young hitter. You got to know here, first base open. Miley's not going to give in. He wants to get Acuna out here on pitches out of the zone. Cutter all the way in or change up down. There's the cutter all the way in. Good take there. Same MO right here. This is not give-in time at 3-2 for Wade Miley. And he's got some walks in his game, but his walks tend to be, I'm going to call them strategic walks.
Rolled over to Moustakas from the cut of the grass. Well, we saw that before last time Acuna was up, and both times a heater to first to get the rookie. Like any other. Beat the freeze here in Atlanta. Now you tell me, Tom.
Wow. Well, I know that Brian Snitker, the Braves manager, has challenged this. So we're waiting on word from New York whether the call is upheld or not. But also, again, to quote the great Satchel Paige, don't look back. Someone might be gaining on you.
Well, this began last year here at SunTrust Park as Braun leads it off. Atlanta leading by a run as we start the 6th inning. And now the freeze, the masked man, is actually a groundskeeper here at the ballpark. Nigel Talton, who last year was working on trying to qualify for the Olympics. And this is not just an amateur sprinter. Not that there are many of those. But when you see his form, now he has been beaten before. I
think just once, right? Does he have just one defeat on his record? I've only seen it once. We're being told there's several. I'm guessing it's still in single digits.
Other than those few victories that the opposing team has had on freeze, I've never seen one that close.
No. That kid did an amazing job to make it that close. By the way, Aaron, I think I saw you out running today in that same outfit that the freeze is wearing.
Well, definitely the goggles. Even with some hazy skies today, those were needed. Soft ground ball. Tehran covering. Freeman's flip.
Tehran does a great job getting quickly off the mound here. He's going to catch it and find the bag in time. As an infielder, Freddie Freeman did a great job. Make sure you get that ball to the pitcher as quickly as possible so that they can find the ball, then the bag, rather than trying to do both at the same time.
Now the freeze would have been safe.
Oh, yeah.
One out, nobody aboard for Travis Shaw.
That's an idea. Can they add him when rosters expand in September? How great would that be? The new Herb Washington.
Yes. That is the only name that comes to mind.
Such a great experiment. No one has repeated it. Herb Washington, of course, was Charlie Finley's idea. Go get a track guy to pinch run for you. He actually got picked off in the World Series, got picked off several times.
I mean, for those who are interested in their spare time, it really is one of the great baseball reference pages.
Yes. No at-bats, right? No plate appearances?
Not even a plate appearance.
And how many runs scored?
Tommy scored 33 runs. .31 stolen bases. Now he was caught stealing 17 times. Maybe not a polished base stealer, but
No,
boy,
he was not. He was not. Yeah, that's not a really great percentage for any base stealer, but especially for a guy that's the only thing that he was there for.
Into right field, hanging up for Markakis. 2 outs. Well, the closest thing that we have seen to Herb Washington in recent years is Terrence Gore of the Royals.
Yes.
The difference is that Terrence is an actual baseball player.
Yeah, a true outfielder, and did have an impact on some of Kansas City's postseason games. And I know this time of year, Aaron, if you don't have one of those type runners in your farm system, you go out and find someone like that. When rosters do expand in September, that is a weapon on your bench that every contender should have.
Thames, who has struck out twice in as many at-bats, swings and misses on the first pitch. And 1-2. Of course, Thames was the buzz of baseball last April when he came over after 3 years in Korea. Last April, he had .345. He homered 11 times, which turned out to be about a third of his season's total of home runs. He's in year 2 of a 3-year deal with the Brewers.
He was so good over in Korea. His nickname was God. Talk about a tough nickname to live up to. Seriously, I mean, he was a rock star over there.
0 for 3 tonight with 3 punch outs. In fact, 3 of the 6 for Tehran. $9.99. Watch every out-of-market regular season game. Plus, get a free subscription to MLB At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this special offer. I'm glad to have you with us tonight from Atlanta. Brewers and the Braves. Atlanta leading 2-1. First pitch scalded into left field off the bat of Ozzie Albies. 2 for 3 tonight for the young second baseman.
Well, him and Freddie Freeman right up there in major league leaders in terms of first pitch hitting. Change up again up. I mean, he looks to pull most everything anyway, but he's not going to miss a change up that high.
Freeman a double his last at bat. Now a 13-game hitting streak. It's his third hitting streak this year of at least 10 games. The only man in the National League who can say he's done that.
There you go. Be careful. First pitch. Those two, Albies and Freeman, back to back in the order. And Craig Counsell is sticking with Wade Miley. Hader wasn't even an option, had not been throwing in the bullpen. So he's going to count on Miley to get through Freeman and Markakis here a third time around. Typically the most dangerous point in a baseball game these days. Because I say that, and you know this, Aaron, about the analytics, the difference between a starter facing a lineup a third time and a relief pitcher facing a lineup the first time is enormous, and it drives many decisions in today's game.
Well, especially the guy with elite stuff like Hader. What sense do you get, by the way, going back to that first pitch hits for Freeman, for Albies and others, why they are able to do that so successfully? Because if you look at home runs every year, Tom, the majority of home runs are hit on the first pitch, and a lot of people could just make the simple calculation, well, a pitcher's going to try to get ahead more times than not with the first pitch strike.
Well, one thing I like about this Braves offense, we talked about them using the whole field. They also don't concede strikes. You know, and I really believe it's Freddie Freeman's influence on this entire lineup. That kind of smart aggressiveness. Anything in the zone, he's ready to hit. He's just not going to concede a strike.
Kane moving back. A foot on the track. First time Freeman has made an out, one down.
Yeah, I thought he squared that up pretty well. The ball didn't carry. And Albies was trying to decide whether to tag up or not on that ball. Generally, your read is going to be that outfielder, and when you see a center fielder start gliding after a ball, he's telling you that he's going to catch it.
One out, Albies at first. Now Markakis has a chance for his second hit of the night. He is tied for the league lead in multi-hit games. In fact, he is the league leader, tied for the major league lead with Lindor.
It's a nice spot to run for Albies because Miley has stayed soft on Markakis tonight. Continues to do so.
It was Markakis who made this a 2-1 Braves lead with his single back in the fourth. That scored Freeman. Off speed again, 1-2. Off the hands. Flare and foul ground. Moustakas puts it away. 2 outs.
Yeah, great job by Miley. There's a good case of a pitcher beating a hitter to the spot with an 87-mile-an-hour fastball. Why? Because he had showed him soft all night. And Nick was just late on that one. The cutter really got a lot of the plate, but you can see it just a shade tardy on it.
In steps Johan Camargo. Now Camargo, what a night last night. 4 hits. He has been the best run producer for the Braves since the calendar flipped to June. And he's an old guy compared to Acuna and Albies. Tom, he's 24.
What's amazing is when you talk about those 3 guys, Acuna, Albies, Camargo, the Braves signed those 3 guys for less than $500,000 combined. All were 16 years old at the time.
Camargo made his major league debut last season, played a lot of shortstop.
Yeah, had him leading right there. Guy has fun playing baseball, doesn't he? Like watching a little leaguer out there. He's all dirty, smile on the face.
He's who played for Arcia. It's in the inning. We have played 6 from Atlanta. Braves have the lead. Seventh. And a new face here in town. Brad Brock, who's up on the mound to pitch for the Braves after Julio Teheran pitched very well over 6 innings.
Yeah, Brock has been an important pickup here. Of course, he came from the Baltimore Orioles. Fastball, slider. He's got real natural cut on the fastball. Goes right after hitters. I'm a little bit surprised, though, that, I mean, this is a very aggressive move to go to the bullpen. I like the way Teheran had been throwing the last couple of innings. And we talked about 3rd time around lineups, and Teheran actually, this year at least, has been better third time around than the first or second times. And to me, it looked like he had been in sync, had thrown 90 pitches.
Backhand, Albies swung over. 2 pitches, 1 out for Brock. Well, you consider this for Tehran. He sat down the final 7 hitters that he faced. Gave up only 2 hits, and the last hit that he gave up was to Wade Miley, of all guys, and that was in the 3rd inning. And not allowed a hit since. I wonder, too, if you're the Braves, the idea of just getting him with some momentum going. I know it sounds a little silly almost, but the fact that he had not given up a home run in this game when he had been stung by the long ball so much. Only the 2 walks. Now it's still another multi-walk game for Tehran, which I'm sure they'd like to see cleaned up a little bit, but in better command tonight than in a number of other starts this year. Right near the line. That takes Freeman right to the bag. Now the MLB at-bat mobile app brings every baseball moment to your favorite devices. Catch it all season with the free MLB.tv game of the day, live radio broadcasts, in-game highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at-bat today. It's your #1 app for live baseball.
And Jonathan Scope is going to come in as a pinch hitter for Miley. I think it's a good point, Aaron, that getting him out on a positive. In other words, if Tehran had been in a streak where he'd been throwing the ball very well, he probably gets another inning. And as you mentioned, the home run ball and the walks lately have been his bugaboos. So get him out proactively rather than waiting to see if trouble developed here in the 7th.
Corbin Burns loosening for the Brewers meanwhile. That's been a little bit of a struggle offensively for Scope as a Brewer, as Miley's night is done. It's only 9 games, but batting beneath 150 so far in his new uniform.
As I said, it's a little bit different where you, as a veteran player, have to come in and check the lineup. Am I in there today? When he checked it today, the answer was no. You get yourself ready to pinch hit, which he doesn't have a huge history of.
Well, Scope was a buzzer deadline deal by the Brewers. And he was swinging the bat well before coming over. And just been named the American League Player of the Week. Boy, high target set and a ground ball. Albies, a little bit of a clutch there. You know, the Brewers retired in order for the 3rd consecutive inning. Dallas. Catch Baron Davis, Nate Robinson, and other NBA stars as they hit the hardwood with a trip to the championship on the line. It all begins at 8 Eastern on Fox, or stream it live on the Fox Sports app. And don't miss the Big Three Championship on Friday, August 24th. On to the bottom of the 7th, a one-run game. Braves on top. And both managers going to their bullpen. The rookie, Corbin Burnes, making only his 11th big league appearance, is up on the mound in a one-run game.
Well, it tells you how much they love this kid's stuff. This is a high leverage spot. There's no doubt about it, especially given how the last few games have gone for Milwaukee.
Shift is on for Adam Duvall.
You see Burnes pitching out of the windup, starter stuff. Good fastball, curveball combination, the slider right there.
Burnes is 23 years old, picked up a 2-inning save in his big league debut this year. Fastball misses to make it 1-1. Into the shift. Garcia's right there. One down. One up, one down. It brings up the catcher, Kurt Suzuki.
He's had a shot there of Craig Counsell. It looks like such a mild-mannered guy, right? I love Craig. I actually saw him lose it on the field last year. It almost never happens. It was a game. Actually, Jim Reynolds, the home plate umpire tonight, was behind the plate. And the team was scuffling. There was a play at the plate where Eric Thames was thrown out. They went to replay. The call was upheld. And he goes out there to argue. Of course, the argument was with New York for upholding the call. But before he went out there, he told his bench coach, Pat Murphy, we'll continue this in a minute here, second out.
Back to Los Angeles. Kevin Burkhardt, a game break. JD Martinez, maybe the best hitter in the big leagues and maybe not the MVP of the American League.
Yeah, had a shot at a triple crown. And yet his teammate may win the award.
You were saying, Tom.
So Pat Murphy, his bench coach, he said to Pat before he went out there, he says, I'm going to get tossed here. He wants to really rally his team, right? So he goes out to argue with Jim Reynolds, the home plate umpire. And Murphy comes out to try to keep him from getting thrown out of the game. So Counsell turns around and starts arguing with Murphy. Leave me alone. You go back to the dugout. And of course, he did get thrown out of the game. Of course, Murph was his coach in college at Notre Dame. That swing right there. That's what I mean, where Dansby drifts forward, and that's why the back foot comes out. And you will see him do that on off-speed pitches. See if Burnes stays soft here. I'd like to see him just spread that stance, get a wider base. High fastball. Mislocation.
Hard hit, but foul. Still 2-2. And Kevin Seister, the hitting coach for the Braves.
Nice huge upside on Swanson, though. I mean, I love the way he attacks the ball defensively. Great leadership qualities. Total gamer.
Up the middle. Will it squeak through? Well, the third baseman, Travis Shaw, moonlighting at second, can't hold on to it. And it turns out to be a 2-out infield base hit for Dansby Swanson. That snaps an 0 for 15.
I'm not sure if he had a play on him right here. Watch Dansby out in front, so he's out of the box quickly. When you ever see a right-handed hitter out front like that, they're already moving toward the bag at first.
Two out Swanson at first. Here is Ender Inciarte. Gold Glove caliber center fielder who has been moved to a bit of a platoon role when there's a lefty on the mound like Wade Miley, but now into the bullpen, and he is batting in the pitcher spot. Swanson safe at first.
Was not expecting that. He caught him flat-footed right there. Look at Dansby, just totally flat-footed. He gave a little wow right there. Wasn't expecting that.
Back again. Jesse Biddle beginning to get loose inside the Braves bullpen. Count levels out 1-1. Now the numbers very good, nearly the last 20 times out for Inciarte. And even though the numbers recently had gotten better against lefties, he's essentially been a 200 hitter this year. As that gets thrown away, and Swanson might have more than second. Throttle down there. That ball kicked perfectly over to Shaw. And there's an error on the throw from Burns.
And the third time was not the charm there. Gets away from Thames. Gives the Braves a runner in scoring position here with 2 outs. And this is what I like about the Braves team, Aaron. Inciarte, just another guy who's going to give you a quality AB, fight off good pitches, typically put the ball in play. Pirates and the Braves, as good as there is at putting the ball in play.
In play, left field. Ron over, dives, and he makes a spectacular catch. Wow, Ryan Braun to end the inning. couple of guys. Robbed of a base hit by Ryan Braun. He's now in center. That moves Acuna back to left field. Very familiar territory. And now Jesse Biddle up on the mound, making his 39th appearance of the season for the Braves.
Yeah, this guy's got a big arm, mid-90s fastball. What I like about him is he's one of the few relievers who can maintain two different breaking balls and keep them distinct. Slider and curveball, and the split between the curveball and the fastball can be as great as 20 miles an hour. That's the hard slider right there. A lot of pitchers, when they try to keep, especially as a reliever where you don't actually throw a lot of innings, try to keep two distinct breaking balls, they tend to morph into one another. Be neither fish nor fowl. He keeps them separate.
Soft chopper. Freeman, Biddle, and he drops it. Yelich aboard at first.
Yeah, remember earlier we talked when Tehran was there, ball then bag. Biddle's going to try to catch the ball while looking at the bag, and he'll try to catch it barehanded as well. That's just not going to work. See the head leave, and no use of the glove. It's just a young player moving a little too quickly. Have to keep the glove up in ready position like an infielder. Ball then bag.
It goes down as an error on Biddle. Able to drop this breaking ball in for a strike to King.
Camargo at third was just asking where to play at third. He's guarding the line. They just backed him up a little more behind the bag.
Hard hit up the middle, center field, base hit, Lorenzo Cain. And right away, the Brewers stack a couple of base runners.
That's the fastball. Cain's right on it. He's hit more ground balls this year. That's why earlier, Aaron, you talked about maybe not as many home runs, the extra base hits. That will play right there when you hit it that hard.
So Yelich, the tying run at second base. Cain, the go-ahead at first. Here's Moustakas, 22 home runs this year.
And the one time he took a first pitch, it was a fastball over the plate. Was not expecting that. I was not expecting that from Biddle.
The opposite way, slicing, a fair ball. Yelich will score easily. Cain is hustling behind him. He makes the turn. He's on his way home. He slides and he's safe. Well, the new man, Mike Moustakas, has given the Brewers a 3-2 lead in the 8th inning.
The slider that a pull hitter takes the other way. Just tremendous hitting by Moustakas. And how impressive is Lorenzo Cain on the bases? This is a left field double that's handled perfectly on every aspect of the relay, and he gets in there easily. Lorenzo Cain is as good as there is in baseball at running the bases. I'm talking about the fundamentals, not just speed, the cutting of the bases, the jump on the ball, the secondary leads. Yeah, towel that man down. He's earned it. I'll never forget his dash from first to home to win the pennant for the Kansas City Royals against Toronto.
Cain, of course, just absolutely beloved in Kansas City, but an expected departure, and now back with a team that he originally made his major league debut with. I think we know who they're rooting for. First pitch to Ryan Braun. He smokes this the opposite way. in front of Markakis. Moustakas turns at third, holds there. Well, the first 4 men have reached here in the top of the 8th.
Another first pitch fastball here. Braun was ready for this one. It's interesting, the Braves last at bat there for Braun had played the infield back with nobody out, conceding a run. Here they play for 2.
Moustakas coming home. The throw to the plate. They have Moustakas in between. They get the tag on him.
Tremendous play by Swanson. Infield at modified double play depth, but it's the infielder's job to read the speed of the ball hit to him and watch him charge this. He's got his mind made up. I'm going home on Moustakas. That is a terrific play by Swanson. That's winning baseball right there.
Jesus Aguilar has appeared on deck. And Brian Snitker has appeared out of the dugout. Dan Winkler warming up. We've got a pitching change. This is a different ball game now. Brewers lead it by a run. Brewers have taken the lead, and they are threatening for more. Tough one tonight for Jesse Biddle. There's Aguilar pinch hitting.
Well, think about the 2 defensive plays back to back. One made, one not made. Ryan Braun ends the 7th with a spectacular catch, as good a catch as you will see in a big spot to save a run. And then Biddle not able to complete pitcher's fielding practice at first base. And that was the kindling to the fire that followed. And Braun adds on top of that tie-breaking hit, his 2nd hit tonight, both on first pitch fastballs.
Aguilar, an all-star this year, but has cooled significantly since the break. In fact, he's batting beneath 170 since the all-star break, but ahead here 3-0.
Yeah, and he had a good swing last night, though, where he just took the ball the other way with 2 strikes. I think with Winkler's cutter here, that's the approach he should have in mind here, especially with runners on base. Look for the ball away.
And it is a 4-pitch walk to load him up. Josh Hader getting loose. One of the best relievers in baseball.
Brian Snitker had this set up the way that he wanted. I had Tehran in for another inning, but he did get the game to Biddle. 3 of the first five hitters this inning were left-handed. First, you had Yelich reaching on the error, and Moustakas with the 2-run double, defeating the strategy.
Kratz off of the mound, and Winkler, it starts to die, and a flip to third, not nearly in time. Braun scores easily. Now the Brewers extend the lead. It's 4-2.
Yeah, Winkler's kicking himself too, because that you're off the field if you let the ball go through. As a pitcher, he's not in great fielding position to make a play here. You see the glove is behind him. Just let the ball go, and he knows it. You know, it's instinct there to try to stop the baseball, but if he lets that go, that is a tailor-made double play. You know, especially if you're a pitcher and you know the way you finish is not glove forward in fielding position, you must be less aggressive fielding your position. You're not in position.
Arcia Limbo's out of the way, 1-0. Shaw now at third. Aguilar, the runner, at second. Kratz aboard at first base. Just missing inside.
And it really hit the reset button right here if you're Winkler. You're still 1 pitch from getting off the field with another ground ball. Keep the game at 2.
It was Moustakas who drove in the first 2.
Arcia's got to think smaller now. He took that big swing, 2-1. Think smaller here.
Count stays put. Bases loaded, 1 out. Again, the 2-2. Get some chasing for it. That's a big strikeout from Winkler. Two down. Bases remain packed. Hernan Perez will stride to the batter's box.
Yeah, the slider here. You get 2 strikes on Arcia, you can get him to expand the strike zone by a lot. Nice job by Suzuki to keep the ball in front.
First pitch strike.
It's a big at bat here. I've always thought psychologically 2 runs seems like a hill. 3 runs seems like a mountain in terms of coming back, because you always have the tying run in the on-deck circle at 2. A bloop and a blast, as they say.
He falls behind 0-2. A 3-run 8th inning for Milwaukee to take the lead. They had not scored since the 4th batter of the game. Now the 0-2. Cut on and missed. Perez strikes out swinging, and the bases remain packed. RBI Baseball 18 is available now. Learn more at RBIGame.com. Rated E for everyone. Now the Brewers are now leading 4-2 as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. One of the best in the business, Josh Hader, is up on the mound. And the numbers this year for Hader have just been ridiculous.
I mean, look at the 101 strikeouts in less than 57 innings. He hides the ball so well. His fastball, I mean, he can tell you it's coming, and it is hard to square up. Aguilar stays in the game at first base. Watch him show the hitter his back, hide the baseball, and then it's past you before you know it.
Facing Acuna, the leadoff hitter, who's homered tonight. Again.
And I would throw this same pitch. Yeah, he'll mix in the slider, but not here against Acuna. There's the back. Where's the baseball? There it is. And because Josh has such a long stride to the plate, he's actually shortening the distance the ball travels. That's why he gets on you at 95 like it's 99. 97 right there. He's getting loose. Watch the stride here, how far down the mound he gets. That is an athletic, powerful delivery. That fastball has intent.
Check swing. He goes. Nothing but heat.
Yeah, that was the pitch. The one he fouled off was not quite high enough.
and steps Albies. Couple of singles tonight.
There's the slider. It's a good pitch to a hitter like Albies, who wants to hit the ball out front, so he's going to get started early.
And the first pitch that has not been a strike.
Try to get him out front on this slider right here.
Ruled ball 2.
As long as he throws that fastball up, he's going to go in here. He's in good shape.
Deep and foul off the right side. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Albies.
It's almost Chapman-esque, that fastball, that if it's down, you actually have a chance. But given the spin where the baseball's coming from, when it's up, hitters generally are going to swing underneath the fastball of Josh Hader or pop it up if they do make contact. See Kratz calling for that fastball up.
Strike 3 call. Perfectly placed. Back-to-back punch outs from Hader.
Just nasty. He wants it up. He gets the next best thing. Paint away. Great matchup right here. He'll be swinging first pitch. Give him a slider because he's on fastball. He was on it. Just the hair late.
You look at what Freeman has done to velocity this year. The most hits in the majors off pitches 95 miles an hour plus.
Yeah, and again, that's that selective aggressiveness from Freddie Freeman. He's not just hacking first pitch. He's looking for something, and when he gets it, he pulls the trigger.
Oh, 2.
Most foul balls in the game by that man, Freddie Freeman.
What do you make of that?
You're not going to get any awards for that. At least I don't think there's an award for that. Hey, I had the most foul balls this year. It's just a clue into how this guy can make pitchers throw more pitches. He can foul off nasty pitches.
This time it stays fair. And Hader goes 1, 2, 3 to the top third of this Braves order. Access and manage your tickets, enjoy check-in offers, exclusive content, and much more. Download the MLB Ballpark app today. Brewers continue to lead 4-2 as they came from behind, scoring 3 runs in the top of the 8th. We start the top of the 9th. Luke Jackson is on for the 20th time this season.
Well, you see it all across baseball. One power arm after another out of the pen. Another mid-90s guy. Good slider. A mix of the curveball, but primarily fastball slider combo.
Yelich leading things off, top of the order. After the first 2 games of this series, the Braves have been able to hold down Yelich by and large. A guy who's been hitting .400 since the break. And head on 2.
He told me this is one of his favorite parks too. He absolutely loves this place. Loves the backdrop. He likes actually the surface of the field. This is one of the faster fields.
He's down on 3 pitches, all strikes.
It's a curveball right there, and he compared it to Marlins Park and Dodger Stadium. He said really the 3 fastest playing surfaces. Good 12-6 curveball right there. For a guy who does hit a lot of ground balls, faster surfaces play well.
Now it's not so much fun when he's trying to cut one of those down to the gap.
Yeah, exactly. But this is a beautiful ballpark, and these days a lot of energy here in Atlanta. As you mentioned, Aaron, their longest homestand of the year.
Kane floats this first pitch out of play. Now Kane scoring one of those 3 runs in the 8th. In fact, scoring from first base.
I've seen a lot of low Kane over the years, and in my mind's eye, I just can't pull up a picture of him getting thrown out on the bases. And believe me, he's an aggressive base runner.
The opposite way and dropping in for a base hit. Lorenzo Cain's second hit tonight, aboard with 1 out of the 9th inning.
Well, remember, he set up a run in the first inning with a stolen base with his wheels. And in that 8th inning, it was right in the middle of the rally by scoring from first on that double. With nobody out, by the way. That's what I mean about cutting the bags. Look at that. That's as close as you can cut a bag right there. He did that around second and around third. Oh, he just got picked off.
Now, come on, Tom. Albies the tag.
What did I say about his base running?
You mean 10 seconds ago? Well, remember that. You might not see it again for a while.
I'm glad he can smile about it. Yeah, it looked like he wanted to go first move. You got me.
Wipes away that single, suddenly 2 outs.
It's not bad for a guy who didn't play baseball until he got to high school. Showed up with jeans, tennis shoes, and a polo shirt. Turned out okay.
You're saying that's not proper attire for a tryout?
Well, his mom didn't want him to play football, and he got cut from the basketball team. So he said, oh, well, I'll try baseball. Never played it. Don't know anything about it. Well, I'll go play. I'll try. So they put him on the JV team because they only had 8 guys. They needed a 9th guy.
Moustakas behind. And down swinging. Well, we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Braves down to their final 3 outs. Pitching very well tonight. And Ronald Acuna Jr. a solo home run early. But right now the Braves trailing by 2 down to their final 3 outs. And Hader back up on the mound facing Nick Markakis.
That's as big of a swing as you'll see Nick take. Understandable. You get a guy with a fastball like Hader, you feel like you have to gear up, when actually it's just the opposite. Be short to the ball.
Now, what do you think Craig Counsell will do here in this 9th inning?
Well, listen, for me, it's hard to take Hader out of the game. Right-handed, left-handed, to me, it doesn't matter the way he's throwing. I know what I have right now, and that's Hader who's throwing strikes. Also have Jefferson in the bullpen, and he's throwing and he's warm. Camargo on deck.
Now, Hader has been death to lefty hitters. Markakis has hit lefty pitchers as well as anyone from the left side.
Took a little bit off the slider right there. After showing him that slider down, calls for that fastball up again. Yep, here it comes. Should be right above the top of the zone.
The 0-2.
Well, he missed location. Markakis had a good swing. Just again, that fastball gets on you a bit tardy. But that's the swing you need against Hader. Shorten up. Back to the slider. You saw Kratz flash that high target there quickly. Sometimes a dugout will call out location. If you show that high target early, of course, you know it's going to be a fastball. The dugout can whistle, give you some signal that it's going to be high fastball. That's why sometimes the catcher, you need to deke, not just the hitter, but the bench.
In play, and a leaping snare catch by Arcia at short. One down.
Slider, carves it the other way. The defense is there. And I'm definitely on board with leaving this in Hader's hands.
Camargo up with 1 out. First pitch strike. Oh, 2.
Oof. A Hader to me is like Chapman or Kimbrel. If they show you as a hitter he can throw his breaking ball for a strike, you're done. Because that's when you're late on the fastball.
Hader's 0-2.
If you can eliminate the slider because he's not controlling it, get a better shot at the fastball. Tonight, Hader has been money with both pitches.
Hader just pounding the strike zone. 22 pitches, 19 strikes.
Wow. Yeah, that's why you leave the game in his hands. Camargo trying any way to get on base here.
A rare pitch to miss. 1-2. Cuts right through it. High fastball, 94. 2 outs.
It's almost impossible up there. As good as that fastball is, when it's up, it plays up. Above the hands. That's the go-to spot.
Charlie Culberson with 2 pinch hit home runs this year. He is the final hope for the Braves. First time that Hader has missed with ball 1. Hader trying for the 2-inning save. A 6-out save. It would be his 9th overall this year.
And Aaron, we're also in the part of the season now where you can start describing wins as big. And he's trying to save a big win for the Brewers. A devastating loss Thursday to San Diego. Blowout last night, trailing the 8th inning tonight.
Soft fly ball. Aguilar pedaling over. Out of room. Well, and couple that, Tom, with the fact, as seen earlier today on FS1, the Cubs throttled at home to the Nationals. So a win here tonight for the Brewers, they would be within 2 games of first place.
And as you mentioned, with a trip to Chicago right around the corner from here in Atlanta.
They'll have 2 games there at Wrigley. Next weekend in St. Louis. Another foul. 2-2. Culberson down to his final strike. Here comes a 2-2 to Moustakas. Third baseman, routine play. That is the ball game. Hader, a 6-out save. The Brewers come from behind and they win game 2 4-2 against the Braves.
Yeah, they turned it into a bullpen game and won the bullpen matchup. Great comeback win for Milwaukee.
The series now split 1 game apiece. What a ball game it turned out to be. Brewers win it. They take it 4-2 the final score. So for Tom Verducci and our entire FS1 crew, so glad you could join us here tonight for MLB on FS1 from beautiful SunTrust Park. As right now we send you back to Los Angeles. Kevin Burkhardt and the guys are with you now.